In Volume 1, we learned a turnaround in the key of A, just to refresh. And a turnaround, once again, is the last two bars of a blues, usually most commonly referred to as a turnaround because it brings you back to the top. You're turning around and going back to the top of the song. So now, a turnaround in E, let's check that out, just as important. We want to learn how to play a turnaround there. So the most common one, and this one's is awesome. Well, it sounds just like that, right? Very similar in what it's doing. You have this descending line. Now, it doesn't always have to be descending, but these are the most common ones. So this one is the first one we're going to check out. I'm going to show you three, and they're all based upon the same idea. So first, I'm going to play that downbeat, my E. That's on the downbeat. And that gives me that second to form this chord. I'm going to take my second finger and put it on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. First finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And this is a B, it's a D, and then I have my open E string. So I get this. And I'm going to move that down chromatically. And what that means, I'm going to move it down 1 fret at a time until I resolve to the chord. And you'll hear it. Watch. And what is that chord I'm resolving to? It's a partial of my E7 chord. Right? And then I'm going to go to my 5 chord, E7. Back to E. So let's hear that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. One more time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now we can have some fun with that. We can do 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And now I just did down, up, down, up. We talked about those down and ups earlier, like on a strum. 1, down, up, down. So I'm just going to go down, up, down, up, playing 8th notes as we discussed in Volume 1. This is all quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Do 8th notes. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. All right? So variation number 1, equally usable, is this. Now what chord is that? Well, if you guys know a D7 chord, you're sliding up a whole step. That's an E7 chord. So we did this. To make life really easy, I'm just going to put that 3rd finger down. That's a really great one too, up to the B7 chord. So, all right, so that's variation number 2. The final one is a bit of a lower sound, and it's quite useful and it's great. It's nice to vary your turnarounds when you're playing a blues so you're not always playing the same one. So this one I'm just dropping some of the notes to a lower register. So let me play it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, and 1. This one's a little tricky because it requires some left-hand muting, but it's a really nice one. So we have E7, and what I'm going to do, I just think about this, I'm going to slide that chord up 3 frets. So my first finger is going to be on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. My second finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the 5th string. So I'm going to play those 2 notes. Now how do I mute that stuff? Well, this is all a left hand mute. So if you keep your hand position the way we discussed, where my thumb is kind of over the top, my thumb mutes that low string. I play that note as we did before. I just let this finger flop over. And it's easy, actually. You just kind of take that where everything would ring and just tilt your hand a little bit towards the floor. All right, you bring your wrist back a bit, right? So it's not a flattening out fingers this way. I'm really just tilting my wrist. You see that motion? All the strings, just those 2. All the strings, just those 2. And by just tilting your finger, everything mutes. So keep that in mind. It's not some crazy hand change position. I'm just going like that. It's going to take a little getting used to, like I said, but that's all I'm doing. So I'm going to start in downbeat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the top. So one more time, I'm moving that down chromatically until it resolves back to my E7 chord. So bass note on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now we're going to check out that same shuffle, and I'm going to do, the first time through, I'm going to do turnaround number 1, then turnaround number 2, and then turnaround number 3. Let's check it out. Now we're going to run through each of those turnarounds at 60 beats per minute on the metronome, nice and slow. I'm just going to play the turnaround, and I'll talk you through it. I'm going to play each one 3 times. So the first one we're going to do, that one with a high E string ringing open. Second one we're going to do, I'm going to put the third finger on the top, right? And then the final one is the lower one. I'm going to play them 3 times each, like I said, and talk you through. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now we're going to do the next one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now the lower one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. All right, so you can loop each of those. If they're a little fast, use the tools to slow it down, or you feel like you've mastered it and you want to play them faster, speed up the tools. It's really great. What a cool thing that we now have inside the player. Really, you can loop it too. If you just want to concentrate on one, just go back through and loop it. What's really important is to know when it comes in. Don't forget, you always want to sound that bass note first on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? So getting that low note first is going to be really key to having the turnaround sit right. The downward motion, the chromatic part, starts on beat 2. You want to really nail these turnarounds, because if you're trying to play them in any live situation and you're off by a little bit, you don't nail it, sounds a little bit like a train wreck. But, as I said earlier in the course, if you have a little bit of a mistake, most people won't notice. Just make sure you hit the downbeat of the next measure and you're pretty good to go. Okay, now we're going to play those 3 turnarounds with the band. What's important to know, we're going to do turnaround number 1 first, second one second, third. But we're going to do it through the full 12 bars of the blues, because it's really important to know where it sits in the actual form of the blues. Practicing them by themselves is really cool, but that only gets you so far. You actually need to use it in action. So let's do that now. Turn on number 1 on the first chorus, turn on number 2 on the second, turn on number 3 on the third. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can see these are all really cool and useful. Now, an important part when you're playing these turnarounds in a blues tune, you don't want to do them every single time if you're playing a long blues tune. It becomes very predictable if you do. Some songs do it, but as a player, I'm going to grab it some of the time. I'm not going to grab it every single time. But in terms of practicing, you want to grab it every single time so you have it nailed, you know where it comes in. You can choose between lick number 1, 2, or 3, whichever one you want to do. And you can base that upon what the music's doing. If it's really kind of a low down, right, you're keeping the volume down. I like this low one. You know, it kind of stays under the radar as opposed to... That makes it a little bit more of a statement because we're in a higher register. So when I hear that turnaround, it's a little bit maybe more exciting than the lower one, which kind of feels a little bit more reserved. Maybe, depending on how you play it. But those are considerations I really think about when I'm working through a turnaround in a real situation. Once again, I probably won't do the turnaround every single time because I think it gets a little tedious if you're playing through a 5-minute blues and every time you play this turnaround. Trust me on that.